Billy C. Show, part of the BillyCBoxing.com network.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're watching, whenever you're listening. I hope you're doing okay. Today's show is being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet. It's available right now. I mean, like right now, while you're watching or listening to the show. Just go to Amazon.com. and punch in my name or punch in Tom Molyneux and get yourself a copy. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by BillyCBoxing.com. Yeah, check it out, man. Not only do we put the most recent show up there and the podcast links, but we're also putting all the latest boxing news that you may not see on some of the other news sites, and we only keep them up until they're and as long as they're relative to the date. You know, as soon as they expire, they go bye-bye. So check it out. And like always, please do us a favor and like us on Facebook and YouTube, and subscribe to the YouTube and podcast channels and our new channel on Rumble. And listen, if you have Fire Stick or Android TV or Roku or any other of the streaming services, check out and see if they carry Jinico TV. Our show is on there. We're actually some specials we've done over the last 21 years, all live events and stuff like that. So check it out. The Talking Boxing with Billy C channel. All right, let's get going here right away. I want to give a shout out to everybody who's popping into the chat room right now. Jesus and my man David, both in there now. If you're watching or listening, come on over to the chat room. Have your comments, and I'll read them live. My man Coach just popped in, and just give a shout out to his young fighter, Travis Smith, has made it to the Metro Finals. That's Metro meaning New York. Okay, so this kid is pretty good. So good luck to him. He fights tomorrow night, and we want to wish him the best. But anyway, let's get cooking here. First and foremost, coming up a little bit later on the show, Vasiliy Lomachenko, George Kambosos. It's the fight this weekend. It will be on ESPN. Could we be seeing the last of Vasiliy Lomachenko? I'm going to break that down and give you my thoughts on that. But first, I want to I was wrong. Okay, I went out on a limb and I made a prediction on last week's big pay-per-view fight, Canelo Alvarez going against Jaime Munguia. And I thought Munguia was going to win the fight. I really did. I thought I was going to witness Father Time catching up with Canelo Alvarez, but I was wrong. Yes, I was wrong. Can't get them all right. But what I will say is I saw a great performance by Canelo Alvarez. And I got to be honest with you. I'm thinking that I can't think of a better performance that he's had ever than what he put on against Munguia. Now, styles make fights and opponents sometimes make you look better. But what I saw, all the reasons I gave Munguia a shot, I didn't see any. I didn't see Canelo slow down. I didn't see Canelo get caught up in a punch out, in the phone booth type of a fight. He kept his distance correctly. He landed the one hellacious uppercut that dropped Munguia for the not for the count, but I believe one of the only times he's been down in his career. It was an entertaining fight, but you know what? I had it closer than some of the judges. I scored the fight 116-111, we had one judge scored at 117, 110, one scored it like myself, and one had it 115, 112. It was a close fight. It really was. I mean, when I look at my scorecard here, I see round two. I had given the first three rounds to Munguia. I know my man um, Larry Hazard was doing the ringside, unofficial scoring. He actually gave round two to Canelo. I thought it was a close round. I also noticed that Munguia started breathing heavy after that second round, but and especially in the third round, he was down in the fourth. But from the first three rounds, I gave to Munguia. And then I gave pretty much a shutout for Canelo, rounds 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. I did give round 9 to Munguia, but rounds 9, 10, 11, and 12 were all extremely close. And I gave, although I gave round 9 to Munguia, I gave the last three to Canelo. And which surprised me that Munguia didn't come out, like a gangbuster going for the knockout in the 12th round. I think it almost appeared like he was trying to just survive the fight. What did Freddie Roach bring to the table for Munguia? Nothing. I didn't see anything. I did see a smart game plan for the first three rounds, but that was tossed out the window, with Munguia using his jab and everything else. But credit to Canelo Alvarez. He looked very strong. He did not run out of gas at all, in my opinion. He didn't tire. You know how he kind of lately been tiring towards the end of the fights. He didn't. And I think the only round he might have taken off was that 9th round I gave to Munguia. But entertaining fight. I don't think it was worth the $90. The rest of the card was it was marginal. I mean, it was an average card. The Mario Barrios fight. He won. It was a tough decision win for him over Fabian Maidana. All three judges scored at 116, 111. I say tough, not that it was a close fight, but Maidana was connecting with some hard shots, but Barrios, and if you would have looked at both of the fighters after the fight and said who won, it looked like Maidana didn't even look like there was a scratch on him, and Barrios' face was busted up, man. I mean, I don't know how he could see. I watched the Zone broadcast because you all know that I just absolutely despise Mauricio Ronaldo. I think he's the worst blow-by-blow boxing commentator in the history of broadcast. Sprinkle in the radio broadcasts of the 30s and 40s. I mean, this guy is the worst. And I just thank the Lord above that I was able to watch another stream. But I love Sergio Mora. I know my man Alex called, the Latin snake. My man Alex Papali calls him the garter snake. But the truth of the matter is, I love his analysis. And when they asked him, they were like, "Oh, I don't think he can see out of that. Do you think he can see?" And I love his candid answers because they're always right on the money. He says, "Hey, listen, I've had my eyes swelled up, and believe it or not, you could see." He says, "I think he can see." So it is what it is. But also on that card, I'll mention the Brandon Figueroa scored a stoppage over Jesse Magdaleno. See, this is what I'm talking about. These are all recycled fighters. Jesse Magdaleno had his best years several years ago. Maidana is fighting, with his brother's name, so to speak. His level of opposition wasn't much. And Barrios, every time he really stepped up, he lost. But he's, in the driver's seat, it seems, in that division right now because it's so weak. But good card, great performance by Canelo. And yes, I was wrong with my prediction. I'm not. Jesus is asking me, two things. I'm no to both of your questions. The first one is I did not watch the fights on last night. I keep forgetting about those, but I'll get to it in a second because there's a relative thing that I wanted to talk about. But his other question is, am I surprised that Canelo thanked Al Heyman? I'm not surprised, and I'll tell you why. Even though they had their little disagreement over purse money prior to that fight, he can't stand Oscar De La Hoya. He knew that would, give Oscar a little nudge. So no, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that anything I hear in this sport anymore. Yeah, well, Coach is saying in the chat room now. Remember, if you're watching the show, come on over to the chat room. We'll bring you into the show. He's saying, Coach is saying, Ronaldo brings the WWE, WWF entertainment to the fight. Yeah, if you want to watch fake shit, I don't want to hear the wrestling, commentator, the Mean Gene Okerlund, if you will, commentating during a boxing match. As a matter of fact, I think a lot of these guys go above and beyond. Joe Tessitore, who I absolutely love for college football, is another terrible boxing. I mean, he's just they're talking and calling every second of the fight. I mean, it's like let the people watching it, comment on certain things. Maybe like when I've called fights, we'll comment on certain stuff like, if a fighter's using his jab correctly, if he should be using his jab, if his footwork is good, is he looking tired? Is it a cut? Is it, did that punch land solid? But for the most part, the people watching the fight don't need to be swayed at what they thought. And that's the whole thing about CompuBox too. I can't stand some of these commentators will call the fight based on the CompuBox stats. I think it's a good conversation piece after the fight, but during the fight, I mean, Jim Lampley used to, give his opinion on who was winning the round based on the CompuBox stats. And remember, that's two guys ringside with a laptop and their subjective opinion if a punch landed or not. It's not a computer doing it. It's a human. And there could be three of us watching the same fight, and we all have a different opinion of who won the round for various reasons. And, one of the best things that ESPN ever did, and they only did it the one time that I recall, they put little cameras on the judges, the three judges' heads, right? And they got to show us the view of certain things, a knockdown, certain punches or whatever, from where that judge was sitting, what his view of that was. And I thought it was excellent because it explains why, one judge might have a off the wall score. Some fighters, and Coach can back me up on this, some fighters have a tendency to favor certain sections of the ring. So you'll see a fighter that's trying to control the ring. He's trying to get his opponent to that section of the ring for whatever reason they feel comfortable, and if that judge that has the worst view, his card is different. I mean, just to finish up with some of the other fight results on Monday. And, I love this because it started at like 4 a.m. and I'm up every day at 3 a.m. I'm one of those, but Inoue, the monster, improved to 27-0 with 24 knockouts. He retained his undisputed super bantamweight titles despite hitting the deck in the first round. He knocked Luis Nery out. He knocked him down a couple of times, and then the fight was stopped at 1 minute and 22 seconds of the sixth round. And he keeps moving forward, 27-0, 24 knockouts. And then yesterday from Plant City, Florida, my former multi-division world champion I worked with, Chevelle Halbach, is actually from Plant City, Florida. Give a shout out to Chevy. And there was a fight, and Sergey Lipitz was the main event. It was supposed to be Robbie Davis Jr. U.S. debut. Didn't work out. Lipitz won a 10-round decision, 95, 92, 96, 91, 98, 89 with the way the judges scored it. But the reason why I'm mentioning this card is because Fernelli Felice Jr., he's a heavyweight. He improved to 8-0 with 6 knockouts. He beat Cesar Navarro, who drops to 11-2. The way the judges scored at 78-74 and 79-73 twice. The reason why I bring this up is his father, Fernelli Felice Sr., was actually one of the first fighters I ever started working with. He came over from Puerto Rico and was in Connecticut at the time. And my man, John Carlo, was working with him. We brought him to John, and he did a couple of amateur fights. He turned pro. And, I got involved with some other stuff, and John Carlo took him, and Fernelli Felice had a pretty decent career. So a shout out to Fernelli if you're watching, and congrats to your son. All right, here's some quick boxing news I wanted to get to. Ryan Garcia. Yeah, Ryan Garcia. Last week, after that week after the fight, and when he tested positive, and I couldn't believe the fallout and the opinions of everybody of how vicious they were against Ryan Garcia. Now, with that said, I support, if there are rules to be followed, I support that rules must be followed in anything, not just boxing. But I like to go fishing, right? I get my fishing license. I know there's other people that say, we're not going to get caught, But I do it. Not that I'm a goody, but I'm definitely not. But the truth of the matter is like for a fishing license example, at least they claim our far left New York State politicians claim that a portion of that money goes back towards restocking and stuff like that. So I feel that there's some advantages. And with that said, with the sport of boxing or any other sport, if players or fighters are going to cheat, I don't support that. And if Ryan Garcia cheated, then he deserves definitely to be suspended, just like everybody's calling has been called for him to be banned for life, everything else. And I personally think, and like I was saying to Coach in an email, I personally I already admitted that I was wrong with my pick. Okay, I already admitted it. He's busting my whats about the Canelo Munguia fight. But the thing is I believe that what they should do is ban a fighter for life. If they test positive for a performance-enhancing drug and it turns out to be legit, they're banned for life. End of story. End of story. And I think that, the thought of cheating with the potential, getting caught and the repercussions could definitely help. But then yesterday, it comes out that the drug test was negative. But it's not really. It was negative for one of the substances, but the other one, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce because I've purposely kept away from trying to understand all of the different performance enhancing drugs. But apparently, the one that they did find a trace of is they're trying to make it seem like there was such a minute amount of that substance in his test that it couldn't have helped him anyway. But that's not the rule. The rule is it's acetylene. None, zero tolerance. Even if it's like Garcia claimed 1/1000th, even if it's that much, you're supposed to have none. And So it doesn't matter what amount is in there. Now, as far as Team Garcia, his attorney, Darren Chavez, said that we are going to open the second, the B sample is scheduled to be open on May 22nd. I don't know why they're making it wait so long, but they're going to be present there. 90%, 99% actually of the fighters that have requested the B sample to be tested, the results have always been the same as in the A sample. So I don't know what they're trying, but they're trying to create a narrative here that there wasn't enough of this substance, acetaratine, that could have done anything to enhance Ryan Garcia's performance. Now, Victor Conti, who apparently, I don't know if you have followed that saga, but he was a big time PED guy, providing it and doing all of this stuff for the fighters. Then all of a sudden he went to the other side. Now he helps them police it. And he said it's fake news because the New York State Athletic Commission got a lot of heat on this, so much so that the executive director resigned. And from some inside sources that I know, she was really good. And it's a shame because she was a boxing person. I never dealt with her, not once. But I actually have heard nothing but positive things. And she resigned. I also heard through my unnamed source that Devin Haney's father really caused the New York State Athletic Commission a lot of grief, and that he was a whack job, So, and of course, we all heard what he said going into the fight. But according to Victor Conti, he said that it's a lot of fake news being spewed about the New York State Athletic Commission and their chart of allowable limits for performance enhancing drugs. Aspartame has a 0.1 nanogram allowable limit, and Ryan Garcia had 6 nanograms reported for April 19th, which is 60 times over the limit. And he said, this is where I got the 99%. He said 99% of the B sample testing is the same of contamination as the sample A. So the saga continues. We'll just have to wait and see, but it's a shame. And if it does turn out that he absolutely positively cheated, well, then maybe a lifetime ban is a good example to set. But then again, New York, you never know. It was announced last week that the fight that I was looking forward to, and most people that I know that are boxing fans were all looking forward to, it was one of the most legit fights between two champions that want to unify the belt that wasn't in the heavyweight division, and I'm talking about Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. Beterbiev apparently has ruptured a meniscus. Bivol is still fighting, and he's now going to face the number 2 rated in the IBF, Malik Zinad, who's undefeated at 22-0 with 16 knockouts. It's a huge card, so I'm glad that they're keeping him on the card. But that's obviously not the fight we all wanted to see. Now, the WBO apparently is asking for proof from Beterbiev. Here's the thing: this is a guy. And we had one of his trainers on here a couple of weeks ago, my main man, John Iceman Scully. And, we know this about this guy. I mean, he wouldn't back out of this fight. This guy wouldn't back out of this fight unless it was a legit injury. So I'm not sure why the WBO is even tainting this with any form of doubt. But it is what it is. A meniscus tear could be serious. And they're planning on fighting before the end of this year, but depending upon how severe that tear was, his career could be over. I mean, remember, he's 39. This might have been the swan song fight to begin with. I think if anybody's going to benefit from prolonging the matchup, it's going to be Bivol, not Artur Beterbiev. Some other news. Okay, I've been saying about this for a long time, about fighters and how they, let's just say if they get in with the wrong crowd or they follow the wrong person or whatever. And there seems to be some connections that I'm not going to get into, but Don King. Now, I don't know how many of you have been watching or listening to this show. We've been doing it for 21 years, and I've always been not only supportive of Don King, but I've been a fan of Don King. A lot of people don't like him, and they blame a lot of stuff on him. But he changed the sport. He changed how people promote. And as a matter of fact, I think a lot of people wanted to join in with the success of Don King as a promoter. And Don is, in his late 90s now, still going as strong as he can. And he had a card that was scheduled and rescheduled, and it was set for June 7th. And on that card was Adrian Broner, and he was scheduled to fight the Woo guy, which is Blair. I went blank. I'm getting old. Blair the Flair Cobbs. All right, and now there was an announcement that the co-main event is now the headline, which is Norair. I can't pronounce his last name. Mikkeljan and Ryan Rizicki for it's a cruiserweight title fight for the WBC cruiser title. Rick Flair, Blair the Flair Cobbs, and Adrian Broner isn't canceled, but it's not sounding like Broner's going to show up because Don King said if Broner shows up, the fight will happen. Blair Cobbs will be there. Now, I'm going to tell y'all some. Adrian Broner doesn't train anymore. He's a boozer. He's a guy that's out of shape. He went totally downhill. Now, Adrian Broner, in my opinion, as a lightweight, could have been a Hall of Fame fighter. He could have been, but it all started with the money, billion, AB about billions, come on. And it's been a downward spiral as if you were on a big hill of ice and you took a sled down there. That's how quickly Adrian Broner has dropped out. I mean, this guy, I don't even think he can draw flies at a garbage convention right now. He's lucky that he even had Don King willing to take a chance with him. And I just think that he's taken advantage of Don and Don's situation. I hope the guy never doesn't fight again. I don't even want to see him. And if he does get in the ring, I hope Blair Cobbs beats the snot out of him because that's what he needs. Another fighter that I've commented negatively on were both Charlo brothers. All right. And Jermell Charlo, who had been holding on to the WBC middleweight title, despite not defending that title since 2021, June of 2021, got himself arrested on Monday when he was driving while intoxicated and fleeing the scene and resisting arrest. And then what does he say? He said that he's been battling depression since he's been laid off and lost his title shot. Look, I understand about depression, and I understand that a lot of people take it serious, but everybody, we all get depressed a little bit. Come on, grow the F up. You know what I mean? Especially if you're in a position as a professional athlete. And if you're battling it that bad, then go get help. Don't use it as a crutch. Don't use it as an excuse. This guy was drunk and he got busted. And he's also been in trouble before, him and his brother, with altercations, family altercations, non-family altercations, altercations with other fighters, talking. So, I mean, look, it sounds a lot like Adrian Broner, doesn't it? Because that's exactly what happened to him. Boxing doesn't need to have we have enough negativity on us. We don't need fighters that are bringing negativity too. And you know what? With the exception, well, he used to be with them, but it all kind of seems tied in with PBC, don't it? There's a lot of these PBC fighters are going down the Charlo path, right? And the Broner path, even though he's not with them anymore. And finally, this act of really smearing not only the sport of professional boxing, but also in Mauricio Suleiman's eyes, smearing the WBC and him. He dissed Suleiman because Suleiman's been very patient with him by letting him keep his title. He didn't even let him be a champion in recess or a champion in Muay Thai and all of that crap that they throw out at you. But they acted swiftly and promptly because Carlos Adames, who was the interim champion to the world middleweight title for the WBC, he's been elevated. He's now the main champion. So good. I hope we don't see any of the Charlo brothers again. They're bad for boxing. That's my opinion. And we also had a weird thing happen. There was a fight scheduled for May 25th in the heavyweight division. Arslanbek Makhmudov, who lost for the first time in his last fight, was coming back in the ring facing Junior Fa, who's fairly a young fighter. He decided to retire. So Makhmudov is now taking on Rovakanen. Majan Rovakanen. I apologize. I can't. That's why I call myself Billy C. I can't even pronounce my own damn name. And I got no. Jeremy's not around to put the sound syllable on my screen. So, some other quick news I want to get to. Bryce Mills, a young fighter out of Syracuse. I got to see him at the beautiful Turning Stone Resort and Casino up near. Well, it's in Verona, New York, but it's near the Hall of Fame. And speaking of the Hall of Fame induction weekend, which is June 7th. There's going to be a fight card June 7th at the Turning Stone. Hopefully I'm going to be there ringside for that fight. And Bryce Mills, a local fighter, he's going to be back on the card. He's 15-1, light heavyweight. I'm sorry, super lightweight, junior welterweight fighter who looked huge fight night. The guy looked like he looked like a light heavyweight. He's 15-1 with 5 knockouts. He's going to be taking on Jose Marafufo, who's 14-13. And yes, they've been overprotecting this guy, but he does bring a lot of fans, and he's an action-packed fighter. So if you're going to be ringside, not only should you look me up, but also be prepared for an entertaining fight. So we'll be seeing him. All right, Vasiliy Lomachenko going against George Kambosos this weekend. They had their final press conference, so I'll give you some quotes. Kambosos said, "I'm extremely confident. I bring that confidence from my preparation. I've had a tremendous training camp. The confidence is higher than ever. When I beat Lomachenko, there will be no more road for him to go. This is retirement for him." That's actually part of my title for today's show. We could very well be seeing the end of Vasiliy Lomachenko, and I will get into that momentarily as I start to break down this fight. Lomachenko, he says, "We have a fight. We've prepared very hard, and like I said, it'll be very interesting. I'm looking forward to the IBF title. I need to take my title, and then after that, I can think about my future." Interesting that he made that statement at the weigh-in, because earlier in the week, he said, "My career is almost over." He's 36 years old. He said, they were asking him about, how many more fights. He says, look, if you're talking about ages in boxing, I'm an old man at 36, but my career is almost done, of course. How many years it's going to be? I don't know, 1, 2, 3, but that's it. But I still think I have a little bit of power. It's a hard question of when I would actually retire. He said, but at this stage, every fight I'm in is hard. It's hard to recover after these fights. I don't know what will happen with my body after this fight, and that's why I can't give you an answer to this question of when I will retire. You know, it's an honest answer. I believe Vasiliy Lomachenko is being 100% honest with that fight. Yeah, a coach is commenting on Marafufo. I know this is just a showcase fight for the kid in front of his hometown fans. I mean, that's it. Yeah. And Juan, to answer your question, yes, it was the chairman that resigned from the New York State Athletic Commission. So the buzzards are already flying over because, we had Bob Arum said that if Lomachenko beats George Kambosos, that he will face Shakur Stevenson. I like that fight, Shakur Stevenson, because that's a skilled boxer against a skilled boxer. But Vasiliy Lomachenko getting over George Kambosos is going to be a test. Okay, so let me give you my thoughts on the fight. First and foremost, all right, let's take a look at Vasiliy Lomachenko. You take a look at Vasiliy Lomachenko. The computer ranking has him at number 3 in the world. Ironically enough, he's only ranked by the IBF, which shocked the shit out of me today. He's ranked with the IBF at number 3. He's not rated at all in the WBC, WBA, or WBO. When you look at his resume, his record is 17 wins, 11 coming by knockout, and 3 losses. He's never been stopped. He's got 20 professional fights. He's had hundreds and hundreds of amateur fights, but when you look at his 20 professional fights, every single one of them were against top-notch opposition. I mean, the worst fighter on his resume, you could make the argument that it was his first fight against Jose Luis Ramirez, who was 25-3 at the time, and he destroyed him. He knocked him out in four rounds. His very next fight was against Orlando Salido, who was a journeyman fighter who knew all the tricks, and he lost the split decision. That was when the talk back then, and that took place back in 2014. That was the talk when everyone was critical of Vasiliy Lomachenko jumping right into the pros, even though he had 300 amateur fights. But when you look at his rest of his resume, every single fighter was top-notch opposition, every single one. The Axeman, Nicholas Walters, Gary Russell. I mean, the list goes on and on. His 3 losses, the first one came at the hands of Orlando Salido in his second professional fight. He lost a split decision in 2014, like I just said. The other loss, the second loss, came against Teofimo Lopez, which was a unanimous decision loss in 2020. And then, of course, his last fight in 2023, he lost a unanimous decision against Devin Haney. So you say to yourself, okay, because I always thought that he was the prime example of the sweet science, Vasiliy Lomachenko. You hear, Floyd Mayweather always say, hit and not get hit. Or his fans will say, oh, Floyd is great. He's the sweet science. He hits and he doesn't get hit. And that's not the full statement. The sweet science definition is hit and don't get hit, but you still got to be in position to inflict damage on your opponent. So a talented fighter won't throw a punch and then dance off away so far away that he can't land a punch on his opponent, but his opponent can't land a punch on him either. That's not the sweet science. What Vasiliy Lomachenko does is the sweet science. This is a guy that can be standing right in front of you and be pounding on your head. And you're trying to hit him back, and he's spinning around. Next thing you know, he's not there, but he's still hitting you from another angle. I mean, that's the definition. When you watch Vasiliy Lomachenko fight, that's the definition of the sweet science. He's there. He's right in front of you. You can't hit him, but he's hitting you. But he's still within punching range from you. So, that is, the definition of sweet science. Anyway, 17 wins, 3 losses, 20 professional fights, 188 rounds as a professional. Almost a 65% knockout ratio. 11 of his wins came by knockout. He's 36 years old. He is a southpaw, 5'7", 65.5-inch reach. Talented fighter. Love watching him. You know the story. His father is his trainer, damn good trainer. And Vasiliy Lomachenko loved boxing. His father let him fight a little bit when he was young, then made him stop fighting and took dance lessons for several years, and got back into boxing after he could perfect his footwork. And it shows, if that was the secret. I mean, hey, listen, the greatest fighter of all time, Sugar Ray Robinson, was a great dancer. And he also took dance lessons and told a lot of interviewers many times that he credits his footwork to his dancing ability. As a matter of fact, I believe he did some like tap dancing shows and stuff during one of his retirements. So yeah. Now Vasiliy steps in the ring, and by the way, the fight's going to be on ESPN Saturday night, 10 o'clock. George Kambosos Jr. Is a former. Oh, and by the way, what I forgot to give the credit, Lomachenko is a former world lightweight champion and former junior lightweight champion and a former featherweight champion. So he's looking to get a title back. He does not possess one right now, but his opponent, George Kambosos Jr., he is the current IBO world lightweight champion, which I definitely give credit to the IBO, but the other sanctioning bodies don't, because the computer ranks Kambosos at number 15 in that division, in the lightweight division. The IBF has him at number 2, one spot above Vasiliy Lomachenko, but the other 3 sanctioning bodies don't have him rated at all. Could be because of the IBO title. Now, Kambosos is 30 years old, 6 years younger than Vasiliy Lomachenko. He's 5'9", 2 inches taller, and he's got a 68-inch reach, 2.5 inches longer than Lomachenko. Now, Lomachenko is a southpaw, and Kambosos is an orthodox fighter. When I look at his resume, he's got his last fight, he fought Maxie Hughes, which was a really close fight. A lot of people felt that Hughes won that fight, but the way it turned out, it was a majority decision for Kambosos Jr. His record, 21 wins, 10 coming by knockout, and he's got 2 losses, both to Devin Haney. Devin Haney beat Kambosos in 2022. He won a 12-round decision, and then in the beginning, in June of 2022, and then in October the same year, won another unanimous decision. Those are his only 2 losses on his resume. But as for his 21 wins, he had marginal opposition, stepped them up when he had to. Some guys with good-looking records, but unknowns, at least to the common fight fan. But he does have 3 big wins, in my opinion. 2019, he won a close split decision over Mickey Bay in New York. He also went to Wembley Stadium and won another close 12-round decision over Lee Selby. And I think the biggest fight and best win of his career was also one of the only fighters that Lomachenko lost to, and that was Teofimo Lopez. George Kambosos won yet another close 12-round decision over Teofimo Lopez back in November of 21, and that was just prior to him losing back-to-back fights to Devin Haney. How do I see this fight going? Well, Kambosos is not known for his knockout power, although he's got 10 knockouts of his 21 wins. He's not really known for his knockout power. And if you look closely at his record and you see all of the majority and split decision wins against formidable opposition, you can see that either the fights, the favorite was getting more of a nod than he was, and he still won, or he just can't stop somebody or put somebody in serious trouble enough to win dominantly. So I think that that's going to hurt him against Lomachenko. 36 years old or not, Lomachenko, in my opinion, is one of the best fighters, boxers that I've ever seen live. I don't go by his 3 losses. I do believe that they rushed him a little bit as a pro. Going from the 300 amateur fights into the pros, it's a different game. I think he learned his lesson there. And then I think coming off of injury, he faced and lost to Lopez and Devin Haney. Now, the other thing it tells me about those 2 losses is that speed kills. And as fast and as devastating of a puncher that Lomachenko can be, it seems that when his opponent has a similar hand speed or at least accuracy like Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez, he's got some power and speed, gave Lomachenko some trouble. But I don't think he's going to see that against Kambosos. I know this is a huge fight for both of these fighters. The winner of this fighter sounds like they're getting Shakur Stevenson. Even at 36, I'd like to see the Stevenson fight against Lomachenko because that would be a sweet science affair. I think Lomachenko can be exciting at times. And I think he knows that this could very well be his last hurrah should he lose this fight. And with that said, I'm picking Lomachenko to win against George Kambosos Jr. this weekend. And I think he's going to win convincingly. I think we're going to see a little page out of yesteryear for Lomachenko. So I am officially picking him. I know everybody's been busting my you-know-whats about picking Munguia last week. Munguia, I'm sorry. And I lost I lost $500 to be honest with you. But, the truth of the matter is that I believe that Lomachenko, is going to perform well. I don't think he wants to. I agree. My man is saying in the chat room, he's saying that listening to Lomachenko, it sounds like he's half out of boxing. I think he's facing reality that he's slowing down. He said that it takes him a little longer to recover after fights. I mean, that's what happens when we age, But I don't think he wants to end his career on a negative note. I think that if he fights well and wins on Saturday, but yet he feels that he can't recover, his body just isn't responding, and it takes him a while to recover, he may hang him up and go out with a win and a belt. Unless he feels the fountain of youth struck him, I could see him going for Shakur Stevenson. I don't think Lomachenko has made the money he should have in his 20 pro fight. So, that's something that, bothers me with these upper echelon fighters. I feel the same way about Terrence Crawford, but the truth of the matter is I'm picking Lomachenko in this fight. I just think that even though Kambosos beat Teofimo Lopez, I don't think it was the same Lopez that beat Lomachenko, and I don't think that the same Lomachenko that lost it to Teofimo Lopez will be the same Lomachenko in the ring on Saturday night. I think we're going to see the best possible Lomachenko at 36 years old that we're going to see on Saturday. And depending upon that performance will determine whether he continues his boxing career or not. So my official prediction, Vasiliy Lomachenko over Kambosos. I think he's going to win a decision. I wouldn't be surprised if he stops Kambosos because, if he's on and if he's fighting like he used to, Kambosos has never faced anyone that throws punches from the angles that Vasiliy Lomachenko can throw him. So, again, I tell you guys all the time about a short story. It's considered an essay by Jack London that I read when I was a kid. I must have been 8 or 9 years old, and it totally got me into boxing. It's called A Piece of Steak, and it basically talks about youth versus age, and how at the end of the day, youth will always win. They're undefeated. And if you've never read that and you can't find it, let me know. I have a copy. I believe I have a copy in Word format that I could email you, or PDF or something like that. But in any event, hey, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. It is kind of a shorter show, but we covered everything that I got to cover. We covered everything I got to cover. So it is what it is. Hey, listen, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube page. We'd appreciate it. We subscribe to our podcast, spread the word, and do all those things, the likes and all the other stuff you're supposed to do on social media. All right. And one other thing, make sure that you tune in next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I'll see you later.